Mark Sneed. The same person did him for both. It was the Aussie Red, the guy who's got in touch, the Salford fan who's been getting in touch with us later on in the year this year. So, thanks for your correspondence, but not thanks for making me having to delete votes. Both of you. Coach of the Year. Very hotly contested race this year. Alan, do you want to tell us who've won it in the past?
Yes, so it was first awarded in 2014 and Darryl Powell won it. It took us a sabbatical, came back in 2019, Ian Watson winning it. Then it was Christine Wolfe in 2020 and Tony Smith in 2021.
Yeah, it took a sabbatical because it felt like there was obvious winners every year up until that 2019 when it was kind of Watson or Holbrook, wasn't it? And then it's fired on from there. And this year, right, the main vote was decided by one vote, so not 1%, one vote, and the four that were shortlisted were separated by only 5 votes. So again, not 5%, 5 votes. So all very close. Alan, who did you go for?
I went for Matt Peat. This was a very close one for me. I didn't necessarily expect a lot from Matt Peat. I will be really honest. I thought he would just be a puppet or would be just part of a wider group. But I think he's been a revelation as Wigan coach for me. He's been eloquent. He has played games in the right spirit. And yeah, he's turned, as I think you said yourself, one of the worst teams you've ever had to watch last year, into a team that's won something and has played very well consistently pretty much all year. So for me, Matt Peat was my choice.
I mean, I went with Matt Peat too. This was my first sort of foray into club-based nepotism. But literally the worst attacking side in Super League in 2021 were literally the best attacking side in Super League in 2022. And I think you have to credit people who've turned that around, and the head coach is the forebearer of that. And then you add on the fact that he won a trophy. I was not expecting us to win a trophy. The fact that he has continued the tradition of bringing through young players into the side. He wasn't afraid to play Harry Smith a lot. He played those 2 or 3 games where he brought in loads of kids and gave people a chance. And also, he's been likeable. And Sean Wayne nonsensically won a See You Next Tuesday award just for winning titles with Wigan, right? But Matt Peat won't do that because Matt Peat is so likeable. And that's why I went for Matt Peat. But Sarah, you went for...
I went for Paul Rowley, and I must be totally honest, it was a real toss-up between Paul Rowley and Matt Peat, because I totally echo everything you say about Matt Peat. I really respect some of the post-match interviews he's done. He's worked wonders with Wigan, and to say that he's never played at Super League, and there's lots of things you can say, but I really think he's done an amazing job. However, but in the end, Paul Rowley just snuck it for me. He's done that amazing job with a bunch of misfits and oddbods that he has somehow moulded into, I think I've said before, a sum that is far greater than a team that is far greater than the sum of its individual parts. But it was almost a toss of a coin for me between the two of them, to be honest.
Well, that toss of the coin could have been crucial when we're talking about close margins. David, did you make a mistake?
No, I voted for Paul Rowley as well. Largely the same argument that you've just heard Sarah put. I really, it's rather like your comment about Jack Welsby. I hate the fact that I like Matt Peat. I really, really don't want to like a Wigan coach. I feel much more comfortable hating Sean Wayne than I do liking Matt Peat. I think he's done a fabulous job.
I think everyone feels the same, David.
Yeah, it's really, really annoying. Anyway, and lots of Saints fans like him. It's very disturbing, very dissonant. I do, however, think that, whilst he's done a brilliant job, a really brilliant job, he does have the advantage of being at a really good, well-run club, well-funded club, with lots of good players. I think Paul Rowley has put together, what did you call it, misfits and odd bods? I think that's a pretty damn good description. And some of the changes made, like playing, what's his name, the centre in the second row. Yeah, I just think he's done a terrific job.
Well, I think
I really do.
A little bit forced into that Watkins move, and it worked out really well for him. But because of another great thing that Paul Rowley did, which was make Dion Cross a adequate Championship winger into a starting Super League centre, who played every game for Salford pretty much.
Yeah. So, I think he's done a terrific job. I wouldn't have had a problem with either Pete or Rowley winning this award. I could have gone either way, but I went for Paul Rowley for the reasons I've said.
Well, those two votes that you two made, where you could have gone either way, have been huge, because Paul Rowley, with 27% of the vote, won this category by one vote from Matt Peat.
And I'd just like to clarify, when I say misfits and oddbods, I don't actually mean that in any offensive way.
No,
I think, like, we talked at the start of the year about what's this pack, how competitive can this pack be? And because they were all people whose faces didn't fit at other clubs.
Yeah.
Or who've come from a more, a different route into first team rugby league and Super League. And so, yeah, absolutely. To make that give a platform for what Sneed and Brodie Croft and Brearley have done as their creative axis, I think it's a fair shout. So he beat Pete by one vote. He beat Rowan Smith by 3 votes and Christian Wolf by 5 votes in what was a very close race. And then in addition, and in the notes I've written, I've put exclamation marks next to some of these, so I'll read those out and people might get where we're coming from. So in addition, Ian Watson got a vote, fair enough. Lee Radford, exclamation mark, got a vote. And Sylvan Hughes, relegated Sylvan Hughes, double exclamation mark, also got votes.
But he did it in a very dignified manner, didn't he? He was, respectful. And, he did get a few wins along the way.
Yeah, but this is Coach of the Year, not Gentleman of the Year, so...
yeah.
All right.
I think though, we all like Sylvan Hills. We all already like Sylvan Hills, but yeah, his team got relegated, and it wasn't like they got relegated like when Danny Ward's London got relegated by one result on the last week of the season. They went down by 6 or 8 points in the end, didn't they? It was quite a wide margin in the end. And do you want to guess at the context behind these? I mean, Ian Watson, fair enough. Huddersfield fans, I think, will be happy with what Ian Watson did this year. He took them to the playoffs for the first time in, I think, 5 years. He took them to a Challenge Cup final for the first time in a decade. I think fair enough. But any guesses on the context behind why Lee Radford got a vote?
Fat Boy Rob?
Yeah. And any guesses on why Sylvan Hula's got a vote?
First team to beat Saints?
No, it's because if there's an option for Alan Walker to vote for someone that isn't English or Australian, he'll go for that. Okay, next thing we should talk about is the community heroes. And And this is just a shout out for everyone who gets a vote, really, because they're all winners. And there's some personal ones on this list for us guys, so that's really nice to see. There's one that doesn't make much sense as well, but and there's a few that I'm not sure if they were. I'm not sure. I don't know, so I apologise for my ignorance on some of them. But votes were cast for Andrea Dobson, who has gone from being a player at Featherstone to being heavily involved in the community side of the Sheffield Eagles. So that's the context of her getting this award. She's heavily involved in their wheelchair setup, all of their community work that they're doing. They won Community Foundation of the Year, I think, in the championship as well, didn't they? So she's a big part of that. So I think fair enough there. Bry from @6 again. He was big involved in that charity Rugby League Shirt Day thing, wasn't he? He is the most prolific tweeter in Rugby League. Channel 4, I don't know if they count as community heroes.
We're all part of a community, aren't we?
Yeah.
I suppose they got it out onto the non-Sky world, didn't they?
Yeah, free to air and good packaged up entertainment that they provided. So I accept their place on this list. Dave Parkinson, he got a few votes actually. Dave Parkinson is the guy that you'll hear commentating on our league on everything and anything. So he does all of the community stuff, community game stuff. He has podcasts about the community game as well. He does a lot of stuff for the women's game as well. He basically has Mike will travel and then puts up on Twitter about what he's doing as well. So I think Dave Parkinson's well deserving of a shout out. Dewsbury Moor, the club got a shout out here for raising over £5,000 for MND and various other charities this year. G Roberts, I don't know who G Roberts is or what the context is, but does anyone? No.
Don't know. Sorry.
No, but whoever G Roberts is, well done for being a community hero. Greg Eden, that one doesn't count, but thanks, Rob. The Huddersfield Giants admin, they did have some good tweets this year.
Yeah.
Joshua got a mention here for being community hero. Someone who's moved from the community game as a player to the community game as a referee, and we need young referees.
Yeah.
So make sure he knows about that, Sarah.
I'll let him know.
I know that I got mentioned as well, so thanks for people for that. Martin Worswick from Goulburn. Martin Brough. I don't know if this is Martin Brough or Martin from Brough. I'm not sure because there's a full stop. But Martin, well done. Oral St James, another club getting a shout out. Rebecca Whiteley, Sarah.
Yeah. So Becky is a referee. And she's she actually ran the training course that Joshua went on, but she also organises all the match officials for Butlins for Rhino Challenge, and she coordinates everyone getting there and everything else. So she's great.
Good stuff. Exactly what a community rugby league hero is about. Sam Clark, QF under 11s coach. Sam Horner. Shirley Bradshaw, the context on this is for raising much needed funds for the Salford Trust. I think Shirley got mentioned from more than one Salford fan because Shirley is like huge in the background of that club. The South West League got a shout out. I mean, any area of the country where it's not a heartland area and the people work so hard, people might remember back to earlier series of SLP. We had a lot of interaction with the Devon Sharks and then the Tamebridge Trojans from the southwest. So great stuff. The people at the Salford Red Devils disability team, Tont Randerson. I don't know if it's.
I think that should be.
Go on.
I think that's Tony Randerson.
That's what I thought it might be.
Yeah.
So go on.
I was just going to say who Tony Randerson is.
Yeah.
He is the secretary of the Hull and District Referees Association, but he has been refereeing for 48 years, I think he said. He I remember him refereeing when Joshua was playing, and he'll actually like pause the game and